No, that's not what I meant.
What's a beginner anyway?
I can't help myself, can I?
Welcome back, everybody. Today I am doing a tag video. I haven't done one of these for so long. This one has really been taking the internet by storm in Fragcom lately. And I wanted to do something really easy and approachable and hopefully quick to film this evening, because I'm still trying to edit my European perfume journey video, and it's taking a really long time. I literally have been editing this thing for 2 weeks now. It's taking forever. So I really need to get back to that because I would really like to finish it and upload it this weekend. And also I wanted to take advantage of the nice hair because I just got my hair cut. Thank you very much, beautiful Dell, for doing such a wonderful job. Let's get into it. This tag is called the Fragrance Personality Tag. You've probably watched loads of videos on this already. I'm a bit slow on the uptake. This one was started by Simply Aisha, and I did go and watch her video. So thank you, Aisha, for starting this tag because I thought it sounded really fun. So the first question is, what is your boss babe scent? And without a doubt, the one fragrance that would always jump into my mind immediately would be Almond Woman by Almond Jane. You've heard me talk about this a lot. This is one of my all-time favorite scents. Oh my God, it's so good. This is a spicy, green, woody, floral fragrance, which probably doesn't tell you much, but there's sort of lots of cardamom in the top. I think there might be coriander as well. So it is quite spicy. There's a green tone to it. There's lots of galbanum in here. So it does have a bit of a dark green tone to it. Usually I associate galbanum with freshly cut grass, but in here it doesn't come across like grass to me. It comes across like if you imagine a really dark foliage sort of plant in a forest. That's kind of what it reminds me of because it's also very woody. There's a little bit of florals in there, but the florals don't really jump out that much because they are quite soft. They give a softness to the fragrance, but I wouldn't necessarily, I'm not going to say that I pick out jasmine or anything from here. I just feel like the florals give a nice softness to the fragrance, even though it's a really heavy hitting, spicy, sort of woody type of fragrance. This one doesn't scream either. Even though it's quite powerful and quite strong, it lasts a long time on your skin, but it doesn't project a huge amount, so it's not offensive. It's not going to dominate other people's space. And this one makes me feel confident, and partly because I feel like this fragrance smells like me, and the most confident I can be is when I am wearing a fragrance that I think really resonates with me and my style. So that is Almond Woman by Almond Jane. The second question is, what is your go-to bedtime scent? Now, again, I wear lots of different scents to bed, sometimes on the same night. So sometimes I do wear like 5 fragrances to bed. What my criteria for a bedtime scent is it needs to be something that's fairly easy to like, kind of sweet. I like something to be quite feminine as well because I'm going to bed and I want to feel ladylike, I guess. Oh no, that's not good. Matt obviously is going to be hopefully in the bed with me. So he likes the sweet fragrances on me. He always compliments me if I'm wearing something sweet. Usually when I'm wearing something that I would consider to be too sweet for me, because he really likes them, I wear them, and then I've developed a taste for them. So the one that I chose, which is one that every time I wear this, he always goes, "Oh, you smell really nice." This is Love Tuberose by Amouage. So this is a very gourmand leaning white floral sort of fragrance. There's tuberose in here. There's also gardenia. It has a whipped cream note in here. So it does have that sort of really creamy, airy, sort of creamy texture to it. It also smells very vanillic, obviously, and quite lactonic. I think it's just a really pretty fragrance, and I don't think it's that complicated in terms of how it smells. So consequently, it's kind of an easy wear as long as you can handle lactonic, creamy scents. and I really like it, and Matt does too, so that's why I wear this to bed a lot. Question number 3 is, what is your hug in a bottle scent? Now, I did have 2 that I was tossing up between for this one, and there's many, many more in my wardrobe, but the other one that I was considering for this category, I actually used in a different question, so I went with this one. But this is Bedtime by Les Abstraits. So this is a really, again, sort of gourmand leaning iris dominant fragrance, but it has this really gorgeous powdered sort of chocolate vibe to it. I wouldn't necessarily classify this as a floral perfume. It is very oracey, so it's powdery. But yeah, there's this beautiful sort of, you know, chocolatey vibe, but the chocolate isn't too much either. I mean, I really struggle with chocolate in fragrances a lot of the time. But this one just is incredibly addictive, and I think it really sort of draws people in. And it's one of those fragrances where they're like, oh, I want to smell that a little bit more. And in fact, when I'm wearing this, that's how I feel when I'm wearing it. So I'm constantly smelling myself when I wear this fragrance because I just find it so captivating. Anyway, so that is Bedtime by Les Abstraits. The next question is, what is your weapon of mass seduction? And it was interesting, I watched a few different videos of people doing this tag, and it was kind of interesting to see what people did for this question or how they interpreted it. But when I went and watched Simply Aisha's original video for this tag, but she put a bit of a spin on her answer where she ended up choosing a fragrance that she felt she could seduce herself in, you know, that she felt she could be seduced by, or that she would, I can't remember exactly how she put it, but I got the impression of where she's really feeling herself and she thinks she smells great, which I then interpreted as, what's my diva scent? You know, what's the scent where I feel larger than life? So I chose Velvet Splendor by Goldfield & Banks. I know that some people might think that this is a bit of a strange choice, but I have always described this fragrance, when I talk about this fragrance, the image that I get in my mind is of a really glamorous woman just in her home, full face of makeup, hair all done beautifully, reclining on a chaise lounge, wearing, you know, a gold velvet robe that just goes to the floor. You know, it's a house robe, but it's not a house robe, you know, it's just so opulent. And that is the image that this fragrance gives me, and it's how I feel when I'm wearing it. So I don't know if Matt finds this fragrance particularly seductive, but I know that I do. It does have a bit of a vintage vibe to it. It's primarily mimosa based, but it's a Australian mimosa called Wattle, and then it's sort of got these ambery tones, but again, it is a little bit of it does have a bit of a vintage vibe. Anyway, I just love this fragrance, and when I heard her describing her approach to answering this question, this was the first thing that popped into my mind. If I was to imagine this woman in like a really old time movie trying to seduce the man who's coming to visit her, that is the type of woman that I'm picturing when I smell this fragrance. So that is Velvet Splendor by Goldfield & Banks. Question number 5 is a fragrance that I never wear but that I can't part with. I chose one that used to be my signature scent for a few years when I was in my mid to late 20s, going into my early 30s. I would say by the time I hit 30, I wouldn't necessarily classify this as having been my signature scent, but I certainly used to still wear it on a regular basis. But I think I had moved on to something else by that stage. But this is Eau de Rouge by Bulgari, and this is like a lot of Bulgari fragrances, it's a tea-based scent. It's a very odd one, and I really find it difficult to describe. It does kind of smell tea-like, but At the same time, it's very woody and kind of spicy as well. But it's very unique, maybe a bit citrusy as well. So probably maybe a bergamot or something like that. But it is just such a unique smelling fragrance, and it's quite distinctive, and it just, I never seem to wear it anymore because I think I've had my time with it. I think this was my 3rd bottle that I ever bought. So I've worn it quite a lot, and I think I've just had my time with it, but I can't bear to get rid of it. Partly because it's 2/3 full. I think it might also have been discontinued now. I'm not sure, possibly. I think a few of these from this line have been discontinued. But I think the reason why I struggle with getting rid of it is because even though I don't want to wear it, because it reminds me of a particular time in my life, and it wasn't a difficult time or anything like that. Well, okay, that maybe there were a few things that were going on. There definitely was some upheaval in my life at this time. It's not the upheaval that I don't want to relive from wearing this fragrance. It's more that at that time in my life, I think I was changing a lot, and I had a lot of uncertainty about really who I was or where I wanted to go or what I wanted to do with my life, etc., etc. So for me, that's it's kind of the time that I was wearing this fragrance, and I guess that's why I don't wear it. I like to revisit it and smell it, but it's not something that I will really wear now. But I also don't want to get rid of it, and I don't want to forget that period in my life either, because it was a very significant time in my life that got me where I am today. Question number 6. What is one of my favorite fragrances that I don't wear enough? It's arguable that I don't wear any of my fragrances enough, to be honest. I mean, this was actually a really hard question because there's lots of favorites that I have that I feel like I don't wear enough, but I do cycle through them fairly regularly. So I do wear them. It's just that I'm not wearing the same fragrance every day, day after day after day, obviously. And that's just as a result of having a lot of perfumes, I suppose. But one that I really do love, and I find it really, really addictive. I sampled this fragrance, I think, back in 2021, just after we moved into this house. And at first I struggled with it a bit because I just couldn't quite figure it out. It's a very strange fragrance, but I kept wearing the sample because I was trying to sort of get my head around it and get my head around what I was smelling. And in the process, I became quite enamored with it, and I found it to be very, very addictive. But it is a bit of a strange one. So it smells very unique. So I don't feel like I get to wear it very often, and it's also a very powerful fragrance. So I feel like I really have to be careful about where I choose to wear it. I would never wear it to work, for instance. This is Nancy by Nishané. It's really powdery. I think there's lots of orris in here, but it also has like a kind of vegetal vibe to it. There's a little bit of sweetness there. I don't know, it's so weird. I should look up the notes actually. I don't think I've ever really looked the notes up on this one, but it's really bizarre. It's by Cecile Zerokian, which I love her work, so no wonder I love it. Carrot seeds, cardamom, really? Oh yeah, I guess I do get a bit of cardamom. Yuzu, bergamot, rose, waterfruit, ylang ylang, jasmine, sambac. See, I don't know if I get any of that. I don't know if I get any of the florals necessarily. Sandalwood, musk, patchouli. Yeah, it's so weird, but I love it. I absolutely love it. And every time when I do wear it, I'm constantly going, oh, I smell so good. I don't think everyone would like this. I don't think this is not a mass appealing fragrance. Probably could wear it more. I haven't ever worn it in summer. We have a really hot summer, so I'm curious to know how this would go. So I'm thinking maybe I might pull it out. Anyway, so that was Nancy by Nishané. All right, so the next question, and my battery's gonna die soon. This was really hard to just pick one. But the question is, question 7, what is a fragrance you would recommend for a beginner who wants to smell unique? So this one was kind of hard because I don't know if I own that many. The things that I think might be beginner friendly might still be a little bit wacky for beginners. And also I was thinking a lot of the fragrances I have, you know, if you're talking about being beginner friendly, you probably want something that's really affordable. I do have budget perfumes in my wardrobe for sure, but I wouldn't necessarily consider them to be the most unique fragrances. And so if I'm trying to bring that unique element in, it got a little bit hard. And then also everyone has just different tastes. Some beginners really like citrusy perfumes, for instance, freshies. Others like, you know, like non-perfume perfumes, like really sort of musky, clean skin scents. Others like florals and others like woody scents. Like when I started getting into perfume, I was really into sort of woody fragrances. So I didn't get into florals until much later. So consequently, I did really struggle with this and I picked a few. So the first one that I would recommend that I think most people would enjoy, even beginners, but it is very unique, but it is not budget. Although it's not too badly priced. I mean, it's definitely pricier than a designer fragrance, but the quality is there. So I would recommend Blondine by Versailles. This is also the other fragrance that I was contemplating for the hug in a bottle category, because this is a hug in the bottle, and it's also one that I wear to bed a lot. I just wear it a lot everywhere. I wear it to work. So this is based on Lily, but there's a suedey leatheriness to this. So it's kind of a little bit fluffy, kind of a little bit powdery, maybe not powdery. It's kind of suede. It's a fluffy leather. And then you've got this beautiful sort of lily note that sits over the top. I don't know if there might be other florals in here. There must be other florals in here, which really brightens it and makes it almost fresh. So that leatheriness doesn't drag the fragrance down too much, and it's not that challenging at all, I don't think. And I just find this fragrance to be very whimsical and very approachable, and you can spray harder and really create quite a dense scent bubble around you, or you can go lighter on the sprays and just have this really elegant, subtle scent just wafting in and out. And I adore this fragrance. I adore this house. If you haven't seen or listened to, Pep from the Sentinel has started a podcast, and I can't remember what it's called, but I'll link it down below. There was an episode he did recently talking to Natalia from Versailles. I just love her. I think she's amazing, and you should go check it out. But this would be the one that I would recommend for beginners who want to smell unique, because this does smell very unique. And my battery is about to die, so I'm going to change that before I continue. The next one is one that's been around for a very long time. I've worn this for years and years and years. This is Eau de Sisley number 3. It's an Eau de Toilette. It's sort of a green, fresh, citrusy fragrance, a little bit aromatic, and it also has a ginger note in it. So it's got a bit of spice to it as well. The longevity is not that great, but it's very accessible. I think you can get it in most department stores. And I find it to be a very easy one to wear. I really enjoy it. In fact, a lot of fragrances from this line are just outstanding. I think Sisley do fantastic fragrances. I don't think many people smell like these Sisley fragrances. I think even though they're, you know, citrusy, aromatic freshies, there's something unique to them, and they don't smell like everything else on the market. So that is another one that I would recommend. If they liked something a little bit more robust, but they also enjoy florals, I might put them on to, this is going to be a little bit controversial perhaps, but Lise Solarberg by Maison Crivelli. This is a white floral fragrance, but like most Maison Crivelli fragrances, it has a leathery base. So there is like these, I think, white and yellow florals. There must be a ylang ylang in here. I think lily as well, be given the name. Although there is a freshness to this, so maybe there is lily, and lily can come off a little bit leathery as well, I think, if I recall correctly. So it's kind of a sweet, white floral, leathery sort of fragrance. It is still very unique smelling. This one is not part of the Maison Crivelli line that's really bombastic, not like the ones with the red bottles, I think. So this one doesn't scream quite as loud as the other ones. It does have excellent performance. It has excellent longevity, but it's not doesn't project quite as loud, so it's not going to be as fatiguing to budding noses. And it's definitely a different take on a floral, particularly with that leathery nuance that's in there. I think this is a really approachable fragrance in the Maison Crivelli line, and not many people talk, I don't think I've even heard anyone talk about it really, but I really, really like this a lot. And when I bought this one, this is a 30ml bottle, it was less than $100. But this is a eau de parfum concentration, and I think performs probably better than a lot of eau de parfums. So anyway, that's Lee Solerberg. If the person was more into their fruity sort of florally fragrances, I might suggest Rose Amazon by Hermes. Once again, not an inexpensive purchase, but I think you can get this at discounters a lot cheaper than buying it in store. This has a bit of a tart, fruity opening. You know, there's obviously rose in it, but I don't know if I necessarily detect rose. I definitely get a bit of a floral vibe from it, but then it delves into that really lovely Hermes leathery base. But it's so translucent and fresh and easy to wear, even though it's got this leathery aspect to it. It's so light and elegant and inoffensive, I think, but you aren't going to smell like everybody else when you're wearing this one. So that is Rose Amazon. And then finally, I have another Ormond Jane one, and this one is Saint Paquita. This, again, arguably fits the fruity floral category, but it has that Ormond Jane base that has that sort of woody undertone and a little bit spicy, and just it's very unique smelling, but it also leans maybe a little bit soapy because it has, you know, white florals in here. It is based around jasmine. It may not be an easy transition if, you know, this person was coming from, you know, having worn celebrity scents or something like that, because it is quite a departure from that style of perfumery. Ormond Jane has a very unique style of perfumery. If that's what they wanted, if they wanted to smell unique, Ormond Jane is a really good place to start. There's so many, in fact, in the line, and they have that that Silk Root line that probably I should have recommended one of those because they're probably a lot more approachable than the signature line. But even in the signature line, I mean, you've got Saint Paquita, there's Champaca, there's Frangipani, and there's just so many good ones, you know, and they're really beautiful and very different, but they're probably not that difficult to wear either. So anyway, that's Ormond Jane, Saint Paquita. The next question, this is taking so long. The next question, what is a fragrance that you love that everyone else seems to hate? This was so easy. This was so easy. This is one that always, well, no one's really talked about it for a while, but for a while there, this one was getting so much hate. 90%, I would say, of reviews that I saw, or when people were talking about this fragrance, it seemed like, you know, 90% of them absolutely hated this perfume. And it was at a time sort of in 2020 when people were blind buying everything because you couldn't go anywhere and smell them. So a lot of people bought this fragrance and they absolutely hated it. This is La Panthère by Cartier. I love this perfume. So this is a bit of a chypre floral fragrance. It does have, I guess, I never thought of it as being a vintage smelling perfume, but I guess now that I've exposed myself to more sort of non-vintage style perfumes, you could argue that this has a bit of a vintage vibe to it, which is probably why a lot of people who blind bought this didn't like it. It's got a bit of a fruity opening. There's a bit of anise in here, which makes that opening just a little bit interesting. There's lots of white florals. There's rose, there's gardenia, There's ylang ylang, I think, and orange blossom as well. Again, I don't pick out any particular floral note. They're just all in there together, and it's very big. And then in the base, there's of course a little bit of oak moss, and then there's like a bit of a leathery tone to the base, but it's not even as strong as the Hermes leather, and that's pretty light. But this is it's just there. It's just detectable, and I guess there's like a woodiness in the base as well. I think there's patchouli as well. So it's a beautiful fragrance, and this would be my other boss sort of fragrance as well. If I want to smell really good but kind of powerful at work, I would also reach for this as well as Almond Woman. But yeah, that is one that got a lot of hate, and I still love it. I don't care. What fragrance is on the chopping block? This one was kind of easy as well. This one has actually been on the chopping block for a very long time, but it's one of those ones where I don't want to get rid of it because I really like the bottle, but then it gets shoved into the back of the cabinet anyway. So this one is a fragrance that I bought in 2019. And at the time, I would say that this one is one that was a scent profile that was kind of new to me. It wasn't something that was typical of the types of fragrances that I wore or was even sampling. This came to me as a sample. I think I had purchased something from Lucky Scent. I haven't purchased anything from Lucky Scent since about 2019, actually, because the shipping costs are pretty high for us here in Australia, particularly when you're paying US dollars, and the conversion rates are not good for us at the moment. But I think back then the conversion rates were much, much better. And I had a much higher paying job at the time, so I had a little bit more disposable income. One of the samples that Lucky Scent threw in was this one. So this is Miranda by Essie Strikes the Notes. This is an Italian brand, I think. And the reason why it still remains in my wardrobe is because I really love the bottle. I think the bottle is just outstanding, and I love the color of it. And at the time, I mean, I still have worn it quite a bit. I mean, you know, I've done what's that, a quarter, a third? I think it's a third. I've worn it. I've worn this perfume. Ended up buying it. Had the sample. I ended up buying it because even with those tiny little samples that Lucky Scent give you, which are kind of pointless, this was kind of bombastic, and Matt really liked it. And Matt had never really experienced me wearing anything super sweet or syrupy. Is this syrupy? Yeah, it probably is a little bit bordering on syrupy. And so he loves sweet fragrances, I have discovered. At the time, I didn't know that. So I was surprised that, you know, he liked this so much. I thought it was okay, but I did sort of wonder if it was a bit too sweet for me. Anyway, long story short, I bought it because basically, you know, Matt was gushing over it. Okay, so I think Chris from the Perfume Nest made a comparison about this one, saying she thought it smelled like a little bit similar to, not Cafe Rose. What's the coffee rose scent from Montal? What's the Montal perfume that has the rose and the coffee? Is it Cafe? No, Cafe Rose is a Tom Ford. Intense Cafe. She compared it to Intense Cafe. I'd never made that comparison because I'd never really paid much attention to Intense Cafe, and possibly when I smelled Intense Cafe in a perfumery a couple of years later, I may have just sort of glossed over it because maybe I did think that I'd smelled something similar before, and it was probably this. So I can't tell you if I think it's very similar to Intense Cafe. It might be, but what I can tell you is that I think now this scent profile is very, very similar to a lot of other things. I think it's been done a lot now. And so I don't wear this. And it's a scent profile that's been done a lot over the past, I would say 3 or 4 years. And also I've learned that this just isn't my kind of scent, but I don't want to get rid of it because of the bottle. We are nearly done. Oh my God, this has taken so much longer than I anticipated. I thought this was going to be a quick video.
I can't help myself, can I?
All right. The question number 11. What is the last fragrance that you purchased? The last fragrance that I purchased, which was purchased on the last day of, or the second last day of my holiday. This is Un Matin d'Orage. D'Orage. I don't know why I try and say things when I know I can't speak French. This is by Annick Goutal. I just love the bottles. This is my first Annick Goutal fragrance. So we can source Annick Goutal here in Australia through online discounters and, through overseas perfumeries, but it's very hard to get your nose on Annick Goutal here. So unless there's somebody who's willing to give me a sample of something that they already own, I haven't been able to smell anything. So when I went to Europe, I was very conscious that I wanted to try and track down some Annick Goutal and smell them. And so I'm very glad that I got that opportunity. So this one is it's another white floral. I think it's supposed to be the inspiration for this is like after the rain or after the summer rain or something like that. I don't know. It is primarily, I think, a white floral fragrance. What I get the most, I think, is orange blossom, but there's definitely things like jasmine as well. I think there might be gardenia and magnolia. And it also has a bit of a vanillic touch to it as well. So there is a little bit of sweetness, but it's not gourmand. It just gives it the right amount of sweetness to those florals, I think. This is the type of perfume that I have been lusting after for quite some time. And look, there were so many perfumes in Europe that fit the vibe that I have been sort of embedded in for a little while now. Anyway, so this was bought at a perfumery in Bologna right before I came home. I probably could have sourced it cheaper online, but I went into this perfumery called Naldi, and it was just so beautiful, and the people there were so lovely, and the owner she was just a stunning lady inside and out. I had to make a purchase, and I bothered her for so long because she had so many things in this perfumery that I wanted to smell. I dominated her time, put it that way. I dominated her time for a long time, and I felt really bad because there was just lots of things that I wanted to smell. So in any case, I bought this because this was my favorite of the ones that I tried, and I wore this on skin for a day and then went back the second day to purchase it. So this is my latest purchase. The next question, number 12, is what is a perfume that's at the top of your wish list? This is kind of hard because I've kind of stopped keeping a wish list. I have a to try list of things that I want to try, but I don't currently have a wish list. And first of all, I've just had a month in Europe where I did buy a lot of perfume. So that's like reason number one. The second reason is because I'm just extremely conscious of how much perfume I have. I just reorganized when I moved up into this office. This is going to get really long. I'm going to try not to get too rambly here, but when I moved up into this office, maybe 10 months or something ago, I had all my perfumes downstairs in drawers. I couldn't really see what I had. And then we moved my office upstairs. We installed cabinets so that I could have everything out and see it. But even then, the move was so hectic and work's been really crazy this year. And I literally sort of shoved things in there, and I didn't really have any order to them. Things were still tucked away in corners or in boxes or in even bags. I had them in sort of bags to try and stop them from rolling around in the drawers and getting broken. I still, even though I had them all up in the cabinet, I still didn't really know what I had. And recently, when we got back from Europe, I went through and tidied it up and tried to get some order to it. And when I say tried, the reason why I don't feel like there is still order to it is because I feel like there's still too much there. And it's going to take probably a good couple of days to really sort of marinate and think about what I want, how I want to categorize them and where I want to put them. Which just going through that process and knowing that that's still something that I have to do, but even just going through the process of organizing it all, I've realized that I just have way, way too much. And there can't possibly be another perfume that I absolutely have to have, except for the one that's on pre-order that's coming on its way. Surely I don't need any more, you know? And I have just had this big holiday where I've been really spendy. It's been a spendy year because we did have a wedding, 2 weddings in fact. So I just, I need to chill out for a little bit. Yeah, so I am not keeping a wish list because I just feel even the act of putting stuff on a wish list, I don't have to buy it. I can just let it sit there. And what I like to do is put stuff on a wish list and let it sit there and then go back to it and see if I really want it months later. But then sometimes even just seeing the stuff that's on the wish list makes you want it again. So I've just not really thinking about stuff that I want to buy. At the moment, what I want to do is play with the stuff that's in my cabinet, because there's stuff in there that I literally discovered something the other day that I had thought I had sold years ago, and turns out I obviously had never sold it. Maybe somebody inquired about it and then I never actually sold it. The sale maybe didn't go through, but for years now, I've been thinking that I didn't have this perfume anymore, and it's there. So I don't even know what I have. How can I possibly want to buy something else? So I don't have anything on my wish list at the moment. There we go. Sorry, that was really long, but I don't have anything. I'm trying not to keep a wish list. The last question's horrible, okay? It's like the question that we all dread and think we can't answer. What is your one perfume for life? Well, we all know that, like, I'm going to tell you the name of a perfume, but you know that that could change at any given time. You may also think that you know what the answer is. A lot of people might be thinking that I'm going to say Almond Woman, and I did contemplate that. I did. But I've already used Almond Woman in one of the other questions, so I decided that I had to pick something else. I have also talked about this quite a bit lately as well, because, hello Poppy, hello. I have also talked about this perfume quite a bit as well, and that is because it was my wedding perfume. This is Fleur de Lolita by Ducis de Parfums. I've talked about this a lot. This is a really beautiful, kind of complex, but also doesn't feel complex when you smell it. But if you look at the note listing, there's a lot in it. Lots of florals too, in particular. It's sort of a woody, earthy floral fragrance. It's a bit fresh. It comes across like a fresh floral, but there's enough depth in there with that earthiness and the woodiness that it suits cold weather as well as warm weather. When I say cold weather, I've never worn this in like snow or anything because we don't get that here. But for our cold weather, it works beautifully. So I feel like I chose this one because I feel like this is a fragrance that I own, that I really feel resonates with my style and the type of perfume that I like to wear. But I also could wear it any time of year. I can wear it in the height of summer because it's sort of that really fresh floral aspect to it, but it also has that woodiness and the earthiness as well to ground it without being heavy. I think it would still perform really well in the dead of winter. So that is my perfume for life that I'm choosing for this tag video. I've been talking for a long, long time, and it's time for me to go. I probably should tag some people, although I think most people that I know have already done this. Maybe Henna from CanadianBeauty.com. You probably don't like doing tag videos, but I'm begging you. I'd really love to know what your answers to these questions would be, because I think Henna has such amazing taste in fragrance. And I really want to know what she says. I'm going to leave it there. I've been talking for a very long time. You can obviously hear the dog whining at me, so I need to go. But thank you so much for joining me if you got this far. Thank you to Simply Aisha for starting this tag. It was really fun to do. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.
A little different quite old-fashioned, where I had sometimes played chess. And when I'm out